Okay, so the game is the Macher. This is something I picked up. I had heard it was sort of the epitome of the heavy Euro. And I thought, I'm into political games. I find myself liking heavier Euros more than lighter ones. So let's take a look at this. And it was on my radar for a long time, and finally I broke down and paid kind of a premium for a used German copy of it. And overall, I'm pretty happy with what I've gotten, except, of course, it's kind of in German, but it's not too big a deal. Most of the, except for the rules and these sheets, and the sheets are fairly easy to understand with their calculation in them, it's fairly easy to play, as far as I can tell, and understand, even without knowing the language. The only gripe I kind of have is, well, every color came with an extra cube except for red. Okay, no problem, I got enough. But red was also missing one of the small pawns. I don't think that's going to be a deal. Those are counters that are used. I can certainly fake something else, but, it kind of saddens me. All right, let's take a look at what this is going to be about. And again, like most of my rules explanations, this is a first look for me at the game. I've never played it. I've looked at the rules a couple of times. I've fought my way through them without putting out the pieces and playing with them. This is my time where I'm going to put out the pieces and play with it and get an idea of what the game's about. So, the basic goal on this game is to win the general election over here in Bonn. And you're going to be fighting various regional elections to get advantages that will accrue over in Bonn. In the setup of the game, you've got 4 regions that are opened up, and then 3 more that are going to come in for the election. And there's 4 more that aren't in the game, in any particular game. 5, 7. What I'm thinking is you pull a couple of your party characters out at the beginning of the game as well. It might be possible that you could play one with the whole string of regions and all the campaign characters, all the party characters. Kind of an interesting concept. I don't know if it would add or actually damage the game terribly. All right. What else do you have? Well, you have your party platform, which consists of these cards, and they have various different stances that you're taking. And these stances are going to match. These are dice, by the way, with blank sides on them. You're going to try to be matching the stances here on the various sections. That'll help you to gain popularity and votes there. But for the most part, what you're trying to really do is generate votes, which are tracked with these cubes here. Your popularity, which affects how well you can generate votes, is tracked with these thumbs. And they can be turned up, down, and then further to double down or double up. And those are the different dial values that you can basically set them to. Trying to remember what these are. These down here, shit, I don't remember what they are. And with Walveran I can't really tell you. We'll get to that in a bit once we look at the rules more specifically. You also have these party members. This is the Green Party, and they actually look kind of like they belong in the Green Party. If you look at some of the other parties, they're more fitted to what that party stands for, perhaps. Sort of not really caricatures, but a little bit of one, Okay. So they have 5 different values, which we'll go over when we hit those in the rules, that they can influence. Well, they have different slots that they can influence and take certain actions when they're sent to someplace, and they have bonuses or over each other for it. They have a cost that they have to pay, and an indication of whether or not they can form a coalition with other parties. Everybody has the same deck of these. The values are all the same. The only thing is you get to select only 5 of them at the beginning of the game. The players have done that. They have $2,000 at the beginning of the game. And let's see, these are media tokens, which will be used to mark your media influence, first in the provinces, and then if you win, that can reflect over into bond. Likewise, you have these party meeting markers. These are special party meetings, which I think are just, I don't know what this reflects in German politics, but this here is then your general party meeting, which costs more and has more of an effect. I don't know what the special ones are, what makes them so special that they're weaker, but I would guess that parties often will hold organizational meetings, but this may be the once a year big deal type thing. All right. Well, let's take a look at what the rules talk about. Now, I've set up already, and setup is one of that takes up a few of the rules here. Basically, these are semi-random. Each party has one that is associated with it. From what I understand, they can't get rid of that one. That's their central party platform. There's no special card for their party, though, so it's going to be tough to see, to remember which one they can't get rid of. Okay. What else did we not touch at all? These here are poll cards. They're going to help you to... well, you can change the popularity of different parties by causing a poll to happen and then publishing it. This is the reminders of what the things on these cards stand for. So S adds to your votes. Some of these others I'm not sure. Median power adds to your media power. Hetz is to slander the other parties. I don't know how much this is going to help me in German. And then there's these Spenden, which indicate you can take donations at one point in the turn in the game, and these indicate the value of those donations and the risk involved in them. And that risk is where these dice come into play. It took me a while to find that. I use them as randomizers as well, so I randomized the setup of the starting cards. You only get 5 cards out of 7 to begin with, and most of the players chose to go cheap, discarding the 2 most expensive cards. One, the red player in this case, chose to go rather expensive and actually discarded his 2 lowest valued cards, which was a hard decision. I thought he should keep one of them. Okay. So once the game actually starts, well, normally there's going to be a sequence of play, and I'll go over that here very briefly, but we're not going to really have a good feel for it. I mean, I've read the rules, but I don't have a huge holding on it. Holding party conferences, that's going to be these suckers, I believe. Deploying your shadow cabinet, you put your cards out into play. Forming a coalition, if those cards match up with K's with another party, and your parties are in enough agreement, you can cut a deal to agree to win the election together, to fight it together. And generally that looks like an advantage. Coalitions look like a big advantage locally and throughout. Buying media coverage, that's where you're going to get your media discs, I guess. Organizing campaign meetings. I think that's these little things that you're allowed to set up down here, and that's the Wahlhofstunken. Those are going to give you a chance to convert votes, to generate votes. Taking an opinion poll, that's drawing those cards. That's going to be an auction, and the winner of the auction gets to buy as many of those cards as he likes, but must be at least one. And then a regional assessment. Well, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be assessing each region once at a time, but we do modify the votes on each section. At the end of that, though, the current voting one, the one with 4 open opinions that are fully formed, is completely resolved, moved to bond, and then everything else slides down to one closer, and we get a new one that's got only one showing opinion. Opinions start getting revealed as we find out more and more how the race is developing. Okay, distribution. Okay, so on the very first round of the game, we're really doing further setup. And that's, I haven't completed that yet. I haven't started that yet. So each player is going to be able to distribute 15 vote shares among the different groups. So if you think you can win here, you probably want to go pretty heavy there, because otherwise you're giving it up. But if you don't think you want to take that first one, you want to move into some of the others and try to win those with those votes. This is done with each player putting chunks of 5 down, and that going around in 3 rounds. So you don't have to put all your votes at once and see what other people do. You get some chance to see how they fall down. Then you're allowed to place 9 of your meeting cubes, and these are campaign events basically, into the spaces down here. Now you're limited to the amount of spaces that there are actually, but that's okay. There's quite a few actually, 10 of them. You have 15, so initially you can't fill it completely. And you do these in groups of 3, just like you did with the vote shares, placing them out. Then you're allowed to place 1 media token in any of the regions, and that goes up in this little corner here, I guess. And then finally, you place, and I guess this is kind of automatic, 3 of these little pawns. These are your party bases, and they're kind of change. I don't remember exactly how they work. These guys are 1s. These guys are somewhere in between, maybe 5s. These guys are 10s. I don't know. Maybe these guys are 3s. I don't really remember what the valuation is. But anyway, you're going to get some of these over in bond here, and they show up in your slot for the party. That's just indicating maybe how much power you have there. It's one of the many things that's going to generate your vote. Okay, so let's go through the sequence of play after that setup turn, what the rest of the turns are going to look like in order, which is how the rules do it, and I'll try to learn the rules again going along as I explain them. That'll help me get a view of the game, and if any of you get anything from it, that's great. There are some other people who've done better rules explanations out here. I know Scott Nicholson did one for it. I would suggest going to his rather than mine, but some people like to hear my voice to go to sleep or something. Okay, so the first thing in each turn is the party conferences phase. And at this point, you're allowed to rearrange your party platform, the program cards that you have. And you're allowed to do a special conference for 500 money or an ordinary for 700. And basically, the difference is special conference only allows you to exchange 1 platform card for any platform of your choice out of the program deck. Anything that's left over. And the ordinary conference allows you, alternatively, you could grab 3 tokens and add them to your party base over in bond, I guess. The other option is the ordinary conference. That's going to cost you 700 instead of 500, but you get to get rid of 2 of your program cards and exchange them, and increase your party base by 3 tokens. So that's kind of a big event for the year, and you probably want to take advantage of all of these if possible, really. But you want to reposition your party at the right time, so you want to be kind of careful when you choose to do it. And it's an expensive event. When you use these up, they go away, so they're your limitation there. And then after your conferences, any conference I guess, each player can increase their party base in bond by as many pawns as the platform is in agreement with the opinions for the current region being the one up for election. So if your platform agrees strongly with the current platform, you get to increase your bonuses in bond directly at that moment. You don't have to worry about any disagreements with current election cycle, though. Then you deploy the shadow cabinet, and this is each player is allowed to choose to send a cabinet member to one of the 4 active regions. He puts the card face down in that region. Everybody follows in clockwise order, either playing or passing. And then they're turned. A player may send more than one cabinet member to the same region. Yeah, but not at the same time. The cards are turned over. You pay the cost for sending them, and then you're allowed to do something with them. Okay? And the something you do is based on these letters that are on them. They have to have the correct letter, and the action happens. So, let's take a look at someone. Let's take a look at him. If I did it would cost $1,000 to do him. If I did an S, and I'm not sure what that dash is for, I guess that's to leave him there. If I did an S with him, I would get 8 new vote shares. And those are marked on these cubes here, so that would just jump up 8. Okay. If I did an R, that's rhetoric, focuses attention on an issue in the current region. There's a 2 times disc, this thing, which would go on top of a particular opinion card. And no one can play with that using a following rhetoric card, nor with media control, nor the regional assessment. I don't know what that means, but it's going to double the importance of that issue in the current campaign. Media campaign is M. He has that option as well. This allows you to get to remove another player's media token and replace it with one of your own, but you have to pay that person $800. You know, probably not actually bucks. Popularity. That's P. This boosts your party's popularity by that many levels. So +1 would take you from even to up. Some of the people have higher bonuses there. Well, we don't have one here. But some of the higher valued ministers have different values for this. So for example, he can up your popularity by 3 because he is the person running for chancellor, and he's important enough that that matters. And then the final one is hate. This is a smear campaign. This guy has far fewer options that he can do. A smear campaign, he can drop someone else's popularity by that much. Okay. So when voting happens, your popularity is going to be important because your vote conversion rate from the meetings that you're holding is going to be based on how thumbed you are. If you have thumbs up, you're multiplied by 2, but if you have thumbs down, you're multiplied by 1/2. So you convert your meetings into less voting capability. All right. Coalitions. Hey. So you're allowed to form a coalition if your party members that are deployed to that region have the letter K on their cards. They both have to, and they have to have at least 2 platform positions in common. And to tell you the truth, I believe these are going to be open the way they're being handled. So I got to set them up so that they're open, and I'll do that later. But so if they have the same position on their cards, and these positions are set up so that they cannot be in opposition to each other. You can't be holding NATO yes and NATO no at the same time. And they have to have two of those that are the same in order to have a chance of cooperating like this. If they have three or more, one player can force the other player into a coalition with them. And what that matters is if you end up as a coalition winning the majority of votes, well, a plurality of votes, then you've won the election. You don't have to win it on your own. You can work together to do so. And honestly, I think in general people want to do these from what the bonuses are, because I believe the bonuses all transfer to bond. It's good to win an election in a coalition even, compared to, say, placing second if you didn't want to enter one. Buying media. You're allowed to buy media. Okay, so the first person can place exactly one media token on any of the regions, and this is going to cost $400. And everybody's able to do this once. Each region can only hold 5, so there's a limit there. And if one person has a plurality of the media tokens after they've been purchased, then they have media control. They're allowed to exchange an opinion card in that region with any card in the undecided opinion stack, which is going to be the failed cards here. Someone had a NATO yes card, and they also had either the NATO no card or another NATO yes card. So that got discarded, but that's now available for someone else to pick up and add using the media. In this case, you can only do that, I think, to the open opinions. And you can't touch the doubled one from a debate. That's too important. Media control is also going to prevent you from adverse trends in opinion polls, which is to say, if you end up getting the negative side of an opinion poll, you can't, the public opinion is not going to go down for you. You're protected from that because of the media's not asking you the hard questions. Okay, so then the next thing, and if you win an election and you have any media tokens in the voting region, you can move one of those tokens over to bonds media, and you get more exposure nationally because of that. Okay, campaign meetings. So you're limited to 10 per region. That's how many boxes you have per player. But if you convert them, you can add more. Okay, you pay for these. They cost $100 each, and you can put up to 4 in each region each campaign round. The cubes are placed in the appropriate boxes, and the other players follow in sequence. Then we go to opinion polls, where you're trying to affect the different trends. That's the thumbs up here. And what happens is all players, the starting player for the appropriate region makes, this is done, polls are done for each region, and they're done in an auction. The starting player makes an opening bid, and then these are all open bids where each player can either make a higher bid or pass. And whoever is left standing in the region with the highest bid must buy at least one opinion poll, but they can buy as many as they like, it appears to be. You don't look, you just say, I want 3 of those cards or whatever. You draw them, you pay for them, and then you can choose to publish only one of them. If you publish it, you're going to be moving the thumbs. And you must move the thumbs to one of these upper levels, up 1 on the card that you publish, and you must move the thumbs to one of these, down 1. So you're really probably seeking to get your own thumbs up. And if you hurt someone, such as life, at least until there's an obvious leader that maybe you want to target. And then all the poll cards are discarded, and we continue down through the rest of the regions doing the auction in the same way. Remember that trend disk affects your conversion rates, which we'll hit in a second. Now we go to regional assessment. The regional assessment is going to be for the 3 regions that are not the one with the current election. And you have to decide whether to convert your regional campaign meetings to vote share and how many to convert. And what you're going to be doing is you're going to be making this multiplier between the number of meetings you're converting, your trend value, remember thumb up doubles, thumb down halves, and then how much agreement you have. However many platform policies that you have that agree with the region's agreement give you a multiplier, essentially. The first one, I guess, gives you a ×1 multiplier and upward. So you're going to count those. So for example, let's take a look at this guy in that first region. 35 Stunden walk, not in there. Not in there. Not in there. NATO 9, so he's +1 for that. And Gewerkschaft, he's +2 for that. So he would have a ×2 multiplier because of that. Now if this was doubled, it would go up to a ×3 multiplier because that one would count as 2. Which means multiplying by this and the number of cubes he puts is the number of votes he converts over. Now if you're in opposition to a position, so for example if that said NATO ja, then that would be a -1 to his multiplier. But you can always get a multiplier of at least 1. And I have to bring this one up, and I'll bring the rest of the video and attach it to. Okay, so you convert those by simply adding them to the track. And so if I were, let's say I had that, well, I don't know, I had a ×3 multiplier there, leave the thumb there, of course it would be doubled in ×6 here. I would get, if I converted all 3 of these ×3, 9 quick votes. Bang. And you keep a running total on this track. Good enough. Okay. Well, the regional election is going to take place on this one. Without, we're just converting votes over on the other regions. So now this follows a specific sequence, and then the next campaign will go. So the first is conversion of meetings to voting shares, and this happens the same as before, with no option to convert opinion cards. Sounds like I missed something here. Yeah. Okay, so I did miss something. After you convert your votes in the regions that aren't electing this round, whoever has, if anyone has an absolute majority of the voting share, an absolute majority, not just a plurality, they're allowed to exchange one regional opinion card from the undecided opinion stack. So they can bring that area even more into alignment with them, convincing them over. Okay. But you're not allowed to do that in this final election. You do the conversions, and I believe at this point you'd want to convert the rest of your votes, because, or the rest of your meetings into votes, because there's no value otherwise. Now there's going to be a pad here, and I have nicer ones. But that ain't it. Huh. Alright. Oh, here it is. I have nicer ones for that aren't just photocopies. That's going to keep track of, for each region, a number of different values and then the final total votes. Okay, so those different values are going to be the mandate. The number found under the table on this track. So let's see. If you have so many votes, I guess you get that much of a mandate. The more votes you have, the bigger sway this is going to be. Then the number of platform agreements. Okay, so we don't worry about opposing opinions in this case, but however many agreements you have are added up, and the 2 times counts as a doubling, and that's going to be put into the U set. And then finally, we have the total voting share in the region up to a maximum of 50. You're not allowed to go above 50 votes, I guess. So however many votes you have is going to be added as well. So you get the mandate, which is a value based on the number of votes you have, but then you also have the number of votes you have. And then you calculate this out by adding the mandate to your agreement as a multiplier to your votes, and that gives you the total number of votes in Bonn. Okay. Now that's going to be added to this other page here. And I guess you keep a running total of votes in Bonn that you're keeping track of there. And I have photocopies of that as well. Okay, if you won, if your coalition or party had the highest total votes, you win. And in that case, if you had a media token in Bonn, you're allowed to move it. Now that looks like every member of the coalition is allowed to move that as well. The winner can also transfer 2 regional opinion cards to Bonn, except for central party policy cards. Okay, central party policy cards are these guys. You can only move the yes or no votes over to Bonn. If there's already a card of that type in Bonn, a second or third card is added, and that adds to the opinion's strength. If there's an opposing opinion in Bonn, the opposites cancel each other out, and they return to the undecided opinions deck. Otherwise, the card just forms a new federal opinion on the matter. If the party wins an absolute majority as opposed to just a plurality, they're allowed to transfer 3 political regional opinion cards. Now, for a coalition winning, each member is allowed to place their media token, and each can transfer 1 regional opinion. Coalitions can only be size 2 in this. If the coalition takes an absolute majority, the stronger party, I guess in terms of votes there, gets to transfer 2 opinion cards, then the other one gets to transfer 1. And each party then can add bases to Bonn. For each agreement between the party's platform and the federal opinion, 1 base can be added. Opposing opinions or added federal opinion cards do not alter the total. So what I think they mean by added federal opinion cards are excess ones. So every player after an election is allowed to add to their bases 1 token for each platform position they have that agrees with the one over in Bonn. But again, these guys don't help you. Kind of an interesting situation. Okay, now we go to campaign funding, where each party gets funding equal to 10 times the total votes they have in Bonn received in the regional election. So I guess in the current regional election. And that'll be rounded to the next 100. And then they get income for their party base, which is 100 for each party base token value they have. Then you're allowed to accept the donations. And the donations are summarized here. There's 4 of them, and 1 of them doesn't do you any damage. The one named Pankow gives you $500 at no possible cost. The others, however, have some risk to them, and you're going to roll a number of dice listed in the risk level, and the number on the die is, I believe, how many party base that you lose? Yes, in Bonn. So the second one is the church, that has some possible negative influence. Big banks, yeah, they could cause you a problem. And the final one is this guy Flick, who apparently was able to really buy and manipulate elections. And the first one is some suburb of Berlin, according to my rules. And they don't know why it's in there at all. Okay, so you don't have to choose to take a donation. And the weakest party, that's not clearly defined anywhere. What I'm guessing is the person with the least party base, hard to tell what the weakest is, goes first in their selection. So you get you can get the safest donation as the weakest player. Then we're going to rearrange the boards, and in this case, a board is set back to its original position, swung over to the tail, all the others are pushed forward, and a new card is turned up on each one, and new cards are dealt to the final one, along with a new region dealt to it. Okay, after the 7th regional election, after we're completely done with each of these cards, then the federal election takes place. And this will be taken care of based on results of the regional elections. And what we're going to do to calculate the federal is we go to this pad, and we're going to add up. We're going to be doing this calculation, but we have to determine all the things. And the first one is the number of media tokens that you've managed to get into bond. Those are valued at 10 each. The next one is the number of platform policies that agree with the federal opinion, ignoring any opposing opinions. Those are going to be worth 10 each. Your total party base is added together, i.e. the number of party base tokens you have there. All three of those are added together and then multiplied by the running total of votes that you've collected from the various regional elections. And the winner is going to be whoever gets the highest total in bond. That seems to be a bit about it. What does all this addition and multiplication mean? I don't know yet. I'm going to have to kind of learn that as I play, and that's part of the value of watching these playthroughs. All right, well, we'll give this a shot, see what it turns out as, and hopefully it's as enjoyable as the effort involved in it would suggest. Certainly a game shouldn't be popular to this degree if there's not some significant payoff. It does not feel to me, from this initial view, to be as, and I don't know much about German elections, but to be as connected directly as some of the American political games try to be. But what I've found with those is that they generally fail to reflect enough of the detail. So maybe something at this layer, at this level of detail, is actually advantageous. I know that things like, Mr. President and 1960 tend to feel a little bit more. Hey, there's 1960 up there. And Mr. P's not. Mr. P's hiding. Anyway, I know that those tend to actually do a better job than some of the more serious things like Road to the White House up here, which really tries to model everything and I think really fails. All right. And yes, I've got new shelves. I had to add at least one more shelf, and then I have kind of excess because I know that the collection's going to keep growing. All right. So let's get started with this and see what it turns out like.